is here, which is really good. That means that it will this talk will be shown on channel 28. It usually takes a couple of months for it to be shown, but then they can show it for 2 or 3 years after that. So anyway, welcome to you explorers and seekers of answers for the final time. Final time. This is the final big questions forum of this year. Thank you to Susie Cole, president of the Interfaith Council of Rossmore, the Big Questions Committee, Ruth Ahern. I think you probably all know her, or maybe some of you don't. Maybe raise your hand, Ruth. Ruth, let us know who you are. Reverend Channing Miller, Reverend, there you are. And Gloria Sunshine, you're here somewhere. Will McGarvey, thank you so much, Will, for hosting us all year and for mentoring me. I really, really, really appreciate it. Will is the executive director of the Contra Costa Interfaith Council, and a guy that just, he must be cloned. He is involved in so much good work all over the county. It's absolutely amazing. And he's also our Zoom host. And of course, thank you to Dr. Erica Bains, representing Sikhism, our speaker for today. The Big Questions Committee hopes that you have been stimulated by these Big Questions forums and that you're encouraged to continue to ask your own big questions and seek for answers everywhere. I would like to give you a brief summary, and it is brief, of some of the highlights of 2020 so far. And of course, we still have one more to go with Dr. Bains. As we have explored this year's big question, what is the relationship between science and religion in today's world? We have been taken on a journey through seven different religious spiritual paths, and what each has to say in answer to the big question. These gems can only be glimmers of the richness and breadth and depth of each path. From Rosicrucians, alchemy is the father of science, which is the material world and is a metaphorical process of taking things apart and putting them back together. Religion is of the spiritual world. Know thyself, meditate, listen to the master within. Know that God gives away love as easily as water. From Baha'is, if religion were in harmony with science and they walked together, much of the hatred and bitterness now bringing misery to the human race would be at an end. Religion and science are the two wings upon which man's intelligence can soar into the heights with which the human soul can progress. It is not possible to fly with one wing. Progressive Protestant theologians are offering scientists a different way of looking at the universe. Science and religion share the reality of relationship as foundational. God is relational, and we are created to be in relationship. There's a magnetic connection, interaction between prayer and science. In Sufism Reoriented, science has confirmed there is a creator. How else could the universe be so perfectly tuned? Science looks at data. People can experience God in their personal lives. From the Pentecostals, religion is intimately woven with the sciences. God is seen in nature, science. In the African American church, there is a belief that the divine healing is paired with medicinal plants, and a synergy exists between science and religion in the healing arts. This is represented in medicine and faith as biology and soul. In Urantia, God, the universe pattern maker and originator of reality, created the patterns found in all the sciences, from astronomy, chemistry, mathematics, geology, and on. And God gave each mortal a fragment of the divine self in order for that mortal to experience a personal connection with the original personality. And in Islam, Science and faith are two mighty oceans. These two oceans meet within the human soul. The interaction of science and faith is within each of us, not out there among the stars or the jungle of fuzzy and obtuse ideas. So, we have common threads. Throughout each of these 7 presentations, there's at least 2 golden threads woven into the big picture. Number 1, science and religion are intimately and ultimately connected. You cannot have one without the other. Number 2, relationship is essential and found in both science and religion. There have been many times in the history of our planet when both science and religion have played a crucial role. But as you all know, perhaps at no other time than now does it seem so essential that both realms are explored and incorporated into our individual philosophies. If we have a personal foundation of faith, which is integrated and connected with a knowledge of science, then perhaps we can go forth with hope in the goodness of God and the relevance of science to improve our daily lives. And now it is my pleasure to introduce our speaker today, Dr. Erica Bains. Dr. Bains is an elected council member of the Interfaith Council of the Contra Costa County and has spent 25 years learning and teaching the foundation, virtues, and principles of Sikhism. Her education background includes applied management and decisions sciences. Now there's a class for you. With a focus on computer information systems and finance and accounting, none of which I know anything about, so I should probably be taking your class. During the last 20 years, she has managed to juggle between raising 2 children, running a business, teaching at St. Mary's College, and serving on the board of directors of many nonprofit organizations. Currently, she serves on the board of directors of the East-West Association of Sikh Women for World Peace, the Friends of Wagner Ranch Nature Area in Orinda, which is a nature and environmental preservation group, Standing Straight, a medical mission group, and Food for Thought, an organization that helps provide food for the impoverished Richmond families during the end of the school year holiday season. During her spare time, it's hard to believe there is any spare time with all of that, but during her spare time, she enjoys farming, studying, and growing organic food. I present you with great pleasure, Dr. Erica Bains.
Thank you, everyone. And thank you, Sarah Wilmacathy, for allowing me this time to speak on the subject. Thanks for inviting Sikhism. I will do my best to represent the Sikh train of thought on this subject, the relationship between science and religion. Based on my evaluation of both science, for the last 5 decades, I've been studying science, and also my understanding of religion, the Sikh religion mainly, both are involved in the exploration of the ultimate truth. The science explores the nature or its manifestations through the material world, whereas religion, as far as Sikhism goes, and as far as what I know from my understanding of my 25 years of studying Sikhism, is that it explores the consciousness and its flux in molding the destiny of man and also the destiny of life or creation itself. The Sikh Holy Scripture is basically made of philosophies from 13th through 15th centuries, philosophers from every religious group of that area. The area I'm talking about is the eastern area, the 28,000 kilometers in and around Pakistan, where the origin, current day Pakistan, where the origin of Sikhism is. Guru Nanak was a founder. He actually traveled between 1500 to 1524, 28,000 kilometers to basically preach his message that he was able to convey so successfully in that region of basically peace, compassion to all mankind, to eliminate discrimination and inequality, to teach and explain the need to protect the earth, the air, the water, and to convince mankind that there was just one God. So he traveled all through India, Sri Lanka, Nepal, Tibet, all up north from India, across Middle East to deliver this message. During his travel, he came across areas, cultures, beliefs, and he collected the work of the saint mystics, poet mystics of that time, of that region, from every religious group of that area at that time. This then became the collection, his collection. In the 16th century, Guru Nanak, by the way, from the 15th century, collected the works of philosophers from 2 centuries. In the 16th century, one of the gurus, Guru Arjan, actually compiled some of the work, not all, into the Holy Scripture, currently called the Guru Granth Sahib Ji, which includes 5,894 composition philosophies of the works of these 36 saint mystics of Muslims, Sufis, Hindus, and every single religion of that time into this one common book. Naturally, some of the works did not make it because, of course, the rulers of that time had some restrictions. It wasn't until another 100 years in the 17th century that Guru Gobind Singh Ji, the last Guru, the 10th Guru, basically said to the Sikhs, to anyone willing, that here is a foundation of knowledge for a human to study. If you wish, this be your teacher. This group of philosophies, in this 1430 pages, be it if you want to learn, here is the knowledge base. That later became the foundation of 5 different men of different walks of life, of different religion and different groups who came together and formed this group called the Sikhs. Sikh stands for the learned one. The basis of the learned one is this scripture, 1430 pages, 5,894 compositions of philosophies from 36 different saints and poet mystics. In the earlier days, in the 16th, 17th, 18th, and up to 19th century, science too was defined as knowledge or study. This is exactly what Sikh, or the learned one, means. So what then is the definition? What then is the relations between science and religion, based on Sikhism, that is? First, let's look at a deeper explanation or definition of these 2 words. Prior to the 19th century, as I have said, science was defined as knowledge or study. Today, as per the Science Council of the world, there is a common definition that has come together, and it basically is the pursuit and application of knowledge and understanding of the natural and the social world, following a very systematic, I didn't mean to say the word very, the World Council says systematic, methodology based on experience and evidence. This methodology includes objective observations, which can include measurements and data, possibly but not necessarily math as a tool, It includes experiments using benchmarks for testing hypotheses, inductions, reasoning to establish the general rules or the formula based on which we will conclude. Repetition. For science to conclude, it must be repeated and the same result must be achieved again and again. Also, as a general rule, for science, there has to be critical analyses, verification, testing, critical exposure to scrutiny, peer review, and even assessment. So that is the general explanation of science and how it comes to examine and then an explanation or a conclusion. As we know today, there are 4 branches of science. The first one is the mathematics and the logic. Those are abstracts, and they serve as formulas for other sciences. The other 2 branches are part of what's called the natural sciences. The first one being the living sciences, study of organisms, microorganisms, humans, plants, and animals, so on and so forth. And then the second category of natural sciences is the physical sciences, which is, the first one is life science, second is physical science, which is chemistry, physics, astronomy, geology, and so on and so forth. The 4th branch is the social studies, social sciences, which is basically a study of society and a man's relationship to it. Subjects like anthropology, law, economics, political science, sociology, psychology, social science, sociology, social studies, geography, all of these make the social sciences. Now, that is the definition, and those are the branches of study of sciences. Religion, unfortunately, after centuries and centuries and centuries of studying, has come up with a Western definition that has stuck, and that is reverence for a super being. It is such a definition of importance that even for an Eastern religion to be classified, or any group of belief to be classified as a religion, it must meet the criteria and stand the scrutiny to basically have that definition. As a matter of fact, more emphasis and focus on religion and religious study, or the science behind religion, has been just coming up with an acceptable definition. And now that the Western world in the 21st century come up with the definition, that has become the criteria for understanding religion as a science or a subject. We'll move forward because, as you probably think, I might be one that might have a bit of a disagreement with the definition. But I will go on to say, okay, we will accept that as the definition. But let's now look at the philosophies, or the Bains, as they're called in the Sikh scripture, the 1430 pages of the 5,894 compositions of philosophies of various different saints, mystic saints. The Barney informs us on the matter of just one example. I'm going to give you cosmology. So we will look at the relationship between science and religion based on word for word what's said in these Sikh philosophy or in our Holy Scripture. Space and time, it says exactly, starting on page 83 of the Sikh scripture, space and time were created at the epoch of Big Bang, and creation process has occurred several times. The universe was created, it says, out of Sun, the phase called cosmic void. Billions of years ago, it said, in the 15th century, this was said by Guru Nanak himself. On page 83, it states, there are millions and billions of stars, solar systems, and galaxies in the universe, and it is almost impossible, beyond the human reason, to account for the whole system. It goes on from page 83 to 275, explaining cosmology, life creation, life science, natural sciences, and so on and so forth. While these were Guru's word, there is also evidence that in the religion, this was not a strange concept at all. On 275, Guru Nanak explains, in this composition called Rag Maru Sohile, which is a concept of Dhundakara, it said, it explains the dark matter and dark energy. Science in the 20th century, starting in 1922, then progressing to 1924 when it became a little bit informed on Big Bang, then proceeding to 1927, once Einstein's theory of relativity became the central theme of validating this Big Bang theory. And after many decades, with the advancements of technologies, including telescopes, satellites, computer systems, simulations, etc., astronomers and cosmologists were able to explain this Big Bang theory. Then now, just in the 21st century, starting in 1990, science started to explain a missing link. They started to explain something that even after accepting the Big Bang theory, they were still missing. What was unexplained was that dark energy in the study of cosmology. The Bains philosophies, be it a spiritual, mystical proclamation as science claims it to be, or just some reverence of the supernatural, super being, or just some predictions and theories, they seem to have explained cosmology, nature of reality, origin and evolution of life, relations to microcosms and macrocosms, and consciousness consistent with what modern science, even now in the 21st century, have just now confirmed or have started to understand. So let's use climate change as one example, as that is where the relevance of science and religion and in today's world is more prevalent. Both science and religion are engaged, as I said, in the exploration of the ultimate reality. The third word in the title of the Sikh scripture is Sat Nam, which means the ultimate truth. Right after the first two words, Ik and Onkar, means there is one creator for all being, one source, one force for all life forms. Science examines through rigorous testing of preserved geological records, physical, chemical, biological material, and measure based on all known measurements, tools, not just knowledge, but tools and techniques, and validates, repeats through testing and scrutinize to come up with the answer of the big question. Then as new knowledge becomes available, they add that and then they come up with a new conclusion of what was unknown. So let's look at religion. Using hundreds of century-old philosophy, just explains. Doesn't study data, doesn't validate, doesn't scrutinize, just explains. What does it explain? It's and destination. Our deed determine our destination. So is said in the morning prayers of every Sikh, with even a 2 and 3-year-old is able to recite. Pavan Guru Pani Pita Mata Dharth Mahat. Basically, in this example, in Sikh prayer, early morning prayer, it is said that the air, the water, the earth, they are the breath, the source of life, breath that is oxygen that allows thinking. There is water, which is the source of life, and there is earth, the great, the teacher, the source of life, the house of life. But it ends that morning prayer, besides after going into explaining about the fall and the rises, the day and the night, and the need to sleep and rejuvenate our thinking and so on and so forth, it explains that they are long and they're short. They're short and long-term consequences for every action, deed being our action, and destination, short as well as long-term consequences as the destination or destiny of the deeds. So it is said in the morning prayer of the Sikh, preserve the quality of air, water, and earth, deed. And then the consequence will be clean air, oxygen, and of course the earth, the teacher, the house in which we can live. In the short term, we may see some consequences, such as we may have poor quality air, water may not be suitable and cause diseases. In the long term, what we will have no earth. There will be no earth, there will be no teacher, there will be no need for science because there will be no life. There's no house, there's no existence of life, there'll be no need for science. So says in the Sikh scripture. And not only that, just in the early morning prayers. Science subjects included in the Sikh Bains to this level of detail of deed, our actions, and the destiny, the consequences, not just the short, what we will see in our lifetime, but what will be of the lives that will exist or not exist after our lifetime. In the Sikh scripture or the philosophies, use of drugs, tobacco, alcohol, opioids, and its effect on the mental and the physical health. Psychiatry. One example in one of the Bains is about how to detect the existence, the signs of mental depression, how to test it, how to recognize it, and even the importance of recognizing depression early and treating it and its impact on the person and their ability to continue as a normal functioning human being. The Sikh Banis and philosophy is full of these examples of different forms of depressions and conditions of mind, such as psychosis and depression. Also, the philosophies on stress and its effect, not just on our mental, but as well as our physical being, is explained in extreme amount of details. A lot of Eastern studies in the last 30 years alone have started studying the effect of meditation on Alzheimer's and functioning of a human being, acuteness of decision-making, as well, even not just meditation as a tool, but just someone who prays using the Psalm of Peace, the prevalence in the occurrence of hypertension in people or certain diseases. So there was a study that basically was conducted just 7-8 years ago that showed that those people that just pray, forget about meditate, but just pray on the fact that you need to meditate, have actually lower cases, lower occurrence of hypertension and stress-related diseases. More than anything else, the Sikh Banis, the philosophies, basically discuss the deeds of human beings that are related to inequality and its effect on society or functioning society or a peaceful society. The effect of greed and power and its effect on human morale and the devastation and the destruction it causes to life, and then how that impacts society in which we actually live. When it comes to economic power and compassion, how these two are related. Regarding social science, Sikh Banis states, the philosophy states that it's just the deeds, our deeds, and how it affects the functioning of the society needs to be a man's knowledge, needs to be the man's understanding before one actually takes this action. For a functioning society, Guru Nanak said that we need to understand that how we treat people on the earth is how the earth and the functioning of the people on the earth will be. For example, it says that succumb to your egos, your greed, your need for power. Use the sweat of others. Hurt the soul of other God's children. But don't forget the dismays it will cause to not the lives as you may see it, but the future generations, other God's children that are to come. You then become responsible for the chaos in the society, in the life later on. You can rip the world. The first word that Guru Nanak says in the first philosophy that's included, the first composition of the Holy Scripture talks about rip the world, dig all the materials out of it, build your strongest house, bring all the treasures and enjoy it. It is there and you have the power to do so. But then what? Then what? What happens to the earth? You ripped it of its everything, its essence. What will be left of the house that houses the life? What is the worth of that house, the treasures that you have? And more anger. There will be a time when the society won't function. We might have just seen this on the streets of America alone. Guru Nanak added these words to every single 2 lines as he was talking about ruin the earth and dig the earth of its treasures, succumb to ego, succumb to using the sweat of others as slavery to build your own empires, succumb to ego and revenge and go fight and kill others. Every 2 sentences he added this word. And it is where the definition of religion comes in, reverence to a super being. Don't forget to include in every decision making, every action you take. Don't forget this knowledge is there for you to study and to apply. That there is one creator of all creation, one force, one source. Remember him. For you see, we are that same force. Work together as a group. The force will be stronger. The light will be brighter. But work against each other, rip each other apart. The force will deteriorate. Creation will end. There is only one creator, not 2. There isn't one that goes around and basically fixes things as one creator's house is broken. There's only one creation. Life depends on just that one. And that's all he says. This is the knowledge. This is the study. You're a Sikh. You have this knowledge. It is up to you to apply it. In summary, Sikh religion and science, in terms of climate change, in terms of the discriminations, whether it be of gender or color, whether it be of the violences that we see, whether it is the need for power and greed. Religion actually explains the consequences of these inequalities, discriminations. Science, for science, these are all data. Science will study it later, accumulate the data, use various tools. They will validate it, various different reviews will be conducted. They will conclude what might have been said, be it a religious vision. They might just conclude, or they will conclude, because the data will be there, that this is what led to the collapse of the beautiful functioning society that one creator had created. And science will also use the same data to show that who was the cause, what was the cause of this destruction. Now, the thing is, we're in the 21st century and 2020 is here and we're seeing a lot of things. And I'm just going to add this as a conclusion, as a summary. This is not what Guru Nanak or any other philosophers said. That do we want as people to wait for that time that there is no life, there is no house? Do we want for there to be no science? Because if we destroy all of it, the creation, what then is there for, what good is there for science to exist? There will be no teacher. There will be no life to study. There will be no earth. Earth is the teacher, as it says in our morning prayers. There will be nothing to study. Do we all want to wait for that destiny? Our deeds are our destiny. As a Sikh, Sikh stands for the learned one. The knowledge base for Sikhs is the Holy Scripture, which has 5,894 compositions of various different scholars, philosophers of all different religions in that area, from that area. This is the knowledge we have. Religion offers the knowledge, the tools. What we experience is the data. Science takes that data and science studies it. It will conclude what religion of the 15th century, at least from the Sikh perspective, has already said. Could it not be better that we all, perhaps just for the sake of reverence for a super being, if that's the definition that's acceptable to all, could it not be that we could just take that as enough and take the religious, call it predictions, and commit to those deeds or come together as one force and not take the chance of basically destroying this only one creation? I think it's worth it. Earlier, Reverend had asked me, what is the saying in the Sikhs, as we start a prayer, as we end a prayer, and I said it is a long one. Today, I will just go ahead and say it. At the beginning of anything and at the end of any prayer, we say, Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh, and you'll hear this a lot from all Sikh scholars. Basically, Khalsa is a commitment to principles. It's a commitment to knowledge. It's a commitment to virtues. That is the Khalsa. To reach the ultimate truth, we need the commitment to these virtues, principles, and knowledge, and use that, apply that for our deed. And the second line is Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, the commitment to the deeds, the virtue, and the knowledge as a deed. Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Fateh is the conqueror. That's a Persian definition of the word. At the end, we can, as a group, if we commit to this principle, knowledge, and virtues, we can actually conquer. We can actually solve these problems that we have created. Thank you for giving me a chance to speak today on this subject. It's a very important subject to me. Now, don't want to date myself, but at the age of 22, I was involved in a conversation, this exact same conversation. In my Sikh studies, it was called the Gurmat studies. And I was 22 years old, and I was sitting in front in a group of a lot of 21 and 22, 23-year-olds, all pretty much pre-meds or some, everyone exploring higher education. And the subject was exactly this: science and religion. And I remember exactly what I said that day to the Papaji, and Papaji stands for father, and he was the head teacher of my Sikh virtue studies. And I said, religion is just a way of conveniently explaining things. Just when there is no answer, religion just basically has to offer one, as if there has to be a conclusion to everything. But 3 decades later, I understand differently, because my teacher, Papaji, had said at that time, well, what allows you to reach that conclusion? What knowledge base? Where's the base of your knowledge, he said. I said, what do you mean knowledge base? You just said so. Meditate and everything will become very obvious and clear. The ultimate truth is there in front of you. And he said, yes, but what is the basis of your conclusion? That it is just a simple way of explaining things. Because when religion can't answer, it just basically has to say, everything is in the hand of the super almighty. And he said to me, as he said to the other 25 students at that day, we have the tool. You are the scientist. You need tools. You need methods. You need knowledge. Well, look at the scripture. 5,894 pages, he says, of philosophy. Just 1,430 pages, not a lot. It is not going to be something, that you will have to do in your PhD studies. It's going to be a very small amount of data. That is your knowledge base. The tool is your scripture. He said, look into it. And he said, promise me one thing. When you do become knowledgeable, remember that knowledge is worth nothing unless we can use it and apply it. And so my conclusion is, I think we probably should apply, because religion has given us the knowledge. Deed has destinies. And I think we should just accept what religion teaches us, that to every deed, there's a destination. Deeds determine our destination, and we should perhaps apply that. It will lead to a better world if we all came together as children of one creator, applied the knowledge we know, lead to better deeds, and I think the destiny would be a lot better one than if we did not. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you, Dr. Bains. Now is that was very rich, integrated sharing. And my guess is that there will be comments from those of us who have heard you share the commonalities, the tools between religion and science from way, way back. I was actually amazed to hear that from the 13th to the 15th century that the person, and I need to get the name of the person better, who walked all over and gathered the knowledge from all of the philosophies and religions of that time, he was really interfaith. That's what he did, is he was putting together an interfaith philosophy, which incorporated probably the higher truths of those times. Can you spell his name? Who is the master of that did that?
He's a founder of Sikhism. His name is Guru Nanak, Nanak, Guru Nanak. You can research him, Guru Nanak, and his
okay, I
journeys.
heard that name. Yeah,
Yep.
Guru Nanak. Okay.
Guru Nanak. You can search his journeys and you will see exactly the areas he studied and who he came across and what his main message was and what was the reason for his travels. And it should be noted that he had no intention of creating a religion, but it just so happens that in the 16th century, one of the gurus took some of the work that he was able to, based on the restrictions of that time, and compiled it. But he did that to create what he said was the need to create an interfaith society. And in doing so, he was actually tortured to death.
Ah, Guru Nanak was tortured to death, or one of his disciples?
Guru Arjan, a century later in the 16th century, Guru Arjan actually compiled the works that he had actually gathered. And knowing that he was going to be killed, and he did it just for the sake of creating an interfaith dialogue. So in the 16th century, Guru Arjan actually compiled this work, the 5,893 compositions. But for 100 years, this book was actually destroyed many times and rewritten many times. And the 17th century, finally, this book, with one more prayer at the end, therefore becoming 5,894 compositions, became part of the knowledge base of the Sikhs.
We have a question from Channing to everyone. So this is now open to everyone. And Channing, let's see, where is that question? I lost it. Oh, did the Sikh people have to go to war at any time in history? If so, what caused it? And if not, how could they have avoided it? So I think that's a question for you, Dr. Bains, and for everyone to listen to your answer.
Okay. So yes, in the 17th century, Guru Gobind Singh Ji, the 10th Guru, basically had to go to war. And the war was sort of forced upon him. The emperor of the time, Aurangzeb, had basically invited the 10th Guru to come and discuss and negotiate the terms of the Guru's understanding of religion, and one race for all mankind was the reason why the emperor wanted a discussion. While Guru was traveling with his team of 40 people to go meet the emperor, 10,000 men from Afghan were ordered because the emperor was worried that if he asked the men of Pakistan region at that time, or northern India of the time, to come and attack the Guru and kill him and his force, that they might actually not do it. So the emperor actually ordered 10,000 men from Afghan soldiers to basically get to where the Guru was supposed to take rest in the evening, so that he could, be attacked and killed. So when Guru actually was resting in this building and found upon himself 10,000 soldiers, he had to basically fight the war. He had to fight because he had two sons, 14 and 16 with him, and 38 other men that had come along with him. So he basically fought the war. And this war is actually, there's a composition, it's called Zafarnama, it's written in Persian. And Guru Gobind actually lost all of his men, including his two sons. All the while Guru Gobind Singh Ji was, was met with this 10,000 soldiers, every one of them who died. Guru Gobind escaped, not with one, he says, a hair on his skin touched by these 10,000 men. He fought the war, won the war. While he was fighting this war, and that he went back, he was met at home with the news that while he was asked to go meet the emperor to explain why he believes men are of all the same race and everybody should listen to this interfaith dialogue of all coming together, he had a 7 and a 9-year-old son who were basically bricked alive with their grandmother in the frozen conditions. to basically, as a security for Aurangzeb at that time, that if Guru Gobind Singh Ji made it alive with his 10,000 men and his 40 men, he would get home and 2 of his youngest sons would have become Muslims. And therefore, whether or not he wins or loses this war, he will come home to his youngest, the only 2 left sons, to have become Muslims, and therefore he would have lost. Well, when the Guru comes back, Guru Gobind Singh Ji came back after winning this war, or actually basically killing these 10,000 men, unfortunately. He gets home to only find the 7 and the 9 men, 9-year-old boys, had decided to freeze it to death in the brick, and who were basically bricked up instead of give up their religion. And at the end of this, as he got home, Guru Gobind Singh Ji explained to Aurangzeb in a Persian document called the Zafarnama, what now? What now? So I was attacked. I had to kill. I had to come home to have lost everyone. But Zafarnama means the moral victory. Yes, you've made me fight a war. Yes, I have killed many men. But the moral victory belongs to me, for I was attacked. I did not kill. I survived because I had to. But what have you done? You believe in Allah, and so do I. The judgment day will come soon. I will be there, and so will you. I will, yes, I confess to you, I've killed and I've been to war, but you put me to this test. You actually tried to kill me. God saved me. But what I want to ask you is this: a man of prayer, people say you pray 12 times a day. What is the worth of prayer that you could not have respected for me to have just come and explained my position? So yes, there was a war. And as a matter of fact, Guru Gobind Singh Ji wrote that very letter. It was very, very saddening to hear that. And he wrote that it's actually 112 sentence long letter in which he explains the pain of war, the pain of seeing blood of men lost for no good reason.
So we have another question. Sandra is asking, what is the early morning prayer?
It's called the Japji Sahib. And the Japji Sahib start with the word that I just said, Ik Onkar. Ik means one, creator of all. That is the ultimate truth. So it starts with that. And it ends with Karmi Apo Apni Ke Nere Ke Dur, which means to every deed, the deed leads to our destination. There are some short-term, one that you may see in your lifetime, consequence, and there are a lot of long-term that you may not see, but the reality is your deeds do lead to consequences. And even with whether you see it or not, they are real. This you must accept. And one more, the word that was fought by the Gurus was by the 9th Guru, and it was Guru Tegh Bahadur, Guru Gobind Singh Ji's father. I forgot about that war. In that war, all men that were not Muslims in the region that's Kashmir today, all the heads were captured. And the 9th Guru decided to go to their defense. Well, first he went to ask the ruler to spare them, for there is no sense in killing men because of their religion. And so as he went, his head got cut. And today in Delhi, there is the head of that guru in the Sikh Gurdwara. It's called Shishkant. And so that was the war he led to save the men. Unfortunately, his head got cut in that war.
Thank you. So do we have any other questions or comments from those of you who are attending? We'll give a moment. Raise your hand or just go ahead and speak. Remember that you're probably muted.
What? Is the Sikh religion have a leader at this time, or is there no leader?
Yes, we have a leader. The 10th Guru said that there should be no humans as leaders. Knowledge is the leader, and he said the living Guru is the Holy Scripture, the 5,894 compositions of philosophies in the 1,430 pages was actually declared as the leader. Knowledge, the learned one, the term Sikh, is the leader. The leader, the force, is the knowledge, and that should be applied. So the leader itself is the knowledge.
And what is the name of the book, the 1,430 pages? What is the name of that book?
It's called the Guru Granth Sahib Ji. So it's a pretty thick book, this thick.
Uh-huh.
And not all of us are basically able to carry a book that thick around all the time. So in 1977, there was an attempt to make the same book in 4 different divisions, first, second, third, fourth volume. And I have that version because it's easier for me to carry that around.
So I have a question for those of us that probably will not look into the Sikh book. How do we find our closeness to God, our integration between science and religion? If we don't look into the Sikh religion, how can we come closer to God?
So is anybody answering, or shall I answer? Or is somebody else going to answer?
It can be a general discussion. If anybody has something to say, please. Or you can go ahead, Dr. Bains.
Okay. So for how my Papaji answered that, because it's a question I had asked many times. And Papaji said this way, what kind of question is that? And so I said, what do you mean? You always say that's a good question. Why this time are you saying what kind of question is that? And he said to me, Man tu jyot saroop hai, apna mool pehchan. So what he said, and it is in the scripture on an exact page he gave me, and till this day, I remember that so well that whenever I have to ask a question, I always go to the page. It says that you are the light of God yourself. Your connection to God is through you. I mean, I know that is a silly way to answer that I asked, and that's the question, that's the answer I got. Until this day, I feel that we all have connection to God. We are the source of Him. We are His light, we are part of the same force. It's kind of like every time I think of it, I think of the Jedi, and it just that's the way Papaji just explained that. We can make the connection. All we have to do is try. It's there. God is within us, is what he said.
Beautiful. So how do some of you feel that are listening to this? Do you feel that the light of God is in you? Can you identify with that that statement? Come on, let's talk. That's your turn. It's your turn to talk.
First of all, thank you so much for that explanation, Erica, because my question was going to be, and it still is, that Sikhism sounds like a very intellectual religion, and what part does the heart play in Sikhism? But I think that you answered, for me anyway, a lot of that question with the connection with God, that you have to feel it inside, and that you have the light of God within and are illumined by that, and you're connected. And to me, for me, that is also my heart being connected in a very big way to God and to everything around me.
In the Sikh virtues, which was the study that I was talking about, I started that at the age of 22. Initially, you learn the principles of Sikhism, and then once you're ready, you do the study of the virtues. That heart is the 5th of the virtues. The first one is just being connected and knowing that you are one with God. Second, being having that understanding of becoming composed and peaceful and the way we interact with each other. The third being humility, and the fourth being compassion. The fifth being basically love, one we feel from within. And that basically, the 10th Guru said, if you haven't used that virtue as a way to relate to each other, without love, you have not actually connected to God. In other words, love is the way. It's the kind of glue, that brings all of us together, makes us more forceful and powerful, and actually leads us to basically become supposedly the force or part of the force.
Thank you.
That's how I said when I was explained, I always thought of the Jedi.
Erica,
Yes.
thank you very much. It's a beautiful religion to be one that is so interfaith in its nature, that started so early. And I'm so interested in and curious, can you say more about the end of the earth when we no longer need the earth for learning?
That is not what Sikhism says. It says that it is worth saving because we don't want to end creation.
Oh, great.
Or God's creation.
I'm relieved. Thank you.
So the point I was making, it was said in the morning prayer, is that our deed leads to our destination, or deeds are, eventually the reason for the destiny, and that God, there's only one creator, there's only this creation, there is this life, there isn't another that will come and fix our problems. Or if we do something wrong and we lose it all, we lose it for everyone. There will be none of us left, there'll be no house left to house us. So it's worth saving, is what it said. So it's not like the earth will be over, but our deeds can basically save it. And then we should focus ourselves to those applications of that knowledge to save the earth and save the life in it.
Thank you for correcting me. And then the other thing I'm wondering about is, if we are evolving as a people and the religion is based on written scriptures that have been collected, and yet we are evolving, how do those scriptures change, or do they change to reflect the changes in our hearts, minds, and souls?
That's a very good question. As a matter of fact, maybe I was about 23 or 24, I asked that of my Papaji. And this is the way he explained it to me. And I haven't found a better explanation, maybe because I'm lazy and I have decided to make him my teacher. But there are some things that are evergreen, he said, or there are some things that are basically, basic, that it will not change. Yes, many things will change. Circumstances will change. The condition of ears will change. Your health may change. But certain things, certain basics are evergreen, he said. So what's captured in the composition, the knowledge base, he said, is the basic concepts. They don't change. Aspects of it might change, if that kind of answers the question. So to be honest with you, I have never really bothered to explore that, but that is definitely a criticism. And I am the first to criticize that when I look at the compositions, that 5,894 pages, it is in a language that predates Sanskrit, which doesn't exist. So obviously a language that predates Sanskrit doesn't exist. It's a Persian-based language. So we have to really learn that language. It takes time for us to even read the scripture. And you have to say, why doesn't that evolve? Why can't we change this in today's language so we can all have access to it? What's the use of knowledge when it's not accessible is my own criticism, because the scripture is written in the original 13th century, 14th century, 15th century language of 36 different speakers, or and they have various different languages. And so that becomes a difficulty of reading the scripture, which is full of knowledge. It's called the knowledge base, and yet the excess of the knowledge requires for you to master those 36 different pre-Sanskrit languages that don't exist. But the thing is, as my Papaji used to say, so what's the problem? You are the light of God. You should be able to master that. So you're right. There are certain things that can evolve, and one of it is basically, can we rewrite the scripture so it's accessible? But the ideas do not evolve. I mean, those are the same principles, the virtues of love and compassion and peace and calm in which way we react to things, and humility and reverence and something super being. Those are all basic concepts that don't evolve.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. It was a great question. That was my own question a long time ago.
Danny, go ahead.
Hi, Erica. Nice to see you.
Hello. Hi,
Thank you.
Channing.
So much for your talk today. I learned more than I have in a while, even from my seminary. I've learned more about your Sikh religion. I was just wondering, I mean, I know a little bit about the deeds of the Sikh community, but since so much is dependent on deeds, I'm just wondering if you could outline some of the main deeds that the Sikh community performs, like the hunger, the food, yeah.
Okay, so basically, like, we have a lot of different groups that focus on some of the deeds. And the first and foremost is to meet the basic needs of any human around you. And that is obviously food and shelter and things like that. So in each one of the Sikh Gurdwaras around the world, and right now, even though a lot of Gurdwaras are closed, the Golden Temple feeds as many as 100,000 people a day. So as far as deeds go, the underlying is things that basically helps others meet the very basic needs of survival. So there are there's actually, that's the essential service of every Sikh Gurdwara, to have daily breakfast and dinner at any time ready when someone shows up, so that there is food. Food, water, and shelter is probably the most biggest focus of the Sikhs. As was the case of coronavirus in New York, 30,000 meals were prepared for the Brooklyn area at the request of the mayor of New York. And in Delhi, housing for all the healthcare professionals was provided at each one of the Sikh Gurdwaras. So basic shelter, food, and water is the basic deed that one must, even at a very elementary level, must provide. Obviously, there is the need to preserve water, air, and earth. And so basically, you will find a lot of Sikhs grow their food. For some reason, they just feel that it's important for you to connect to nature and whatnot. That's one of the reasons why there are various different Sikhs committed to basically preserving the climate. Annually, one day out of the year, the Gurdwara is committed to just lectures and just talks on climate and change and the importance of saving the earth and having clean water and air. As far as peace goes, and as you all know, I'm part of the East-West Sikh Association of Women for World Peace. Annually, every September, we hold international 100% Gurdwara temple commitment to praying and discussing peace and how to become part of peace. This year alone, we had virtual peace prayers. Up to 12 million people around the world was praying for peace. So these are some of the deeds. You know, we can communicate, help each other achieve that peace, teach and learn about meditation. And it is said, as far as peace is concerned, and one that sticks with me, is that Nam Japo and Avra Nam Japo. It means you be the doer, you lead by example. In other words, I can have a dialogue with you about preserving the nature if I myself can lead by example. So, that's one of the things that we have in Sikhism. It's not the knowledge, it's the application of it. It's the deed, it's what you do, not what you say. So that's why as far as I'm concerned, I've taken two of those applications. One is preserving the earth, and the other one is, of course, committing to peace. And you see a lot of Sikh, they call sevadars, Khalsa aid and whatnot. They're out there, fighting for, resolving inequalities, getting into war zones and rescuing people, and so on and so forth. I hope I have answered that. I know it's a very long question, Channing. It is probably a 3-day discussion.
That's okay. I just wanted you to touch on the surface, and that was really helpful. I know how dedicated the Sikh religion is to doing the right thing, and not just for their own community. They're doing this for the surrounding community. So yeah, and Sarah, there's another question in the chat box.
Oh, okay. Let's see. Who is that? Where am I?
It was Ruth.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead, Ruth, please.
I think you pretty much answered that with the answer that you just gave. I was asking if there are practices in worship as well. I was asked about service, but you answered that one. Are there practices which you engage in together or individually that promote understanding of and dedication to your faith and working together? Do you have regular worships? Tell us a little bit about that.
There is regular worship, of course. The Sikhs basically start early mornings, even at the age of 6 months, with prayers, which is the Japji Sahib prayers, committing to, serving the one creator, and so on and so forth. And also, earth, air, and water on a daily basis to make sure that we respect that. We do have Sunday prayers at the, Sikh Gurdwaras, and it's more a reason to come together, sing hymns together, and also join in what we call the Langar, which is sit together on the floor, everybody eat together. The meals are prepared by, 1 or 2 families, nothing catered or anything. It's just basically whether there are 10,000 people or 5,000 or 2,000 people come, you basically have whatever basics, everybody sits down and eats together. It's called a pangat, with the Langar. In other words, everybody sitting together. And in the prayer rooms, everybody sits down and sings together along, guided with some of the, a chorus, 5Gs they called, Gyanis, or the singers. So that is something that we do on a Sundays. Purpose of that is to come together as a group, to sing together, sit together, eat together, talk together, get to understand each other's needs and stuff. And sometimes we just say just to listen. So that is the purpose of it. Sikhs basically believe that deed, your action, and not the prayer, virtues, not what you do, virtues such as, meditation and, being part and create peace around, and humility and love between each other, as well as compassion, is what really, religion is about. It's not about prayer. So yes, there is at the end of the singing hymns, there is the prayer, but the purpose is not to have a prayer, is to come together, to listen, talk, and sit together and eat. So, all of us are always looking forward to chatting, because in the prayer room, we're just basically singing, and as soon as the prayer is over, we all head out, and then whoever we're sitting next to, there's no arrangement, first come, first serve. You may be sitting next to a 2-year-old kid or an 80-year-old man. You just end up speaking and listening and, sharing. That is the tradition.
Thank you.
So did you say the origin is Persian?
The languages, the basis of the language that is the basis of the 13th through 15th century philosophies, the works that was collected. Not all, but some of the language is, predated Sanskrit, because the Pakistan region is where Sikhism, came, about. And so, yes, that's the origin of it. The language itself is called something else, but it's called Shamukhi. And so the origin of it is, it's actually Indo-Aryan language with a Persian base.
We're about at the end of our session today. And Dr. Bains, I want to thank you so much for presenting us with a beautiful integrated religion. I too have learned so much about how the Sikhs walk their talk. And you fit in so well with the golden threads that we found in, I would say, all of the other religions that we've been presented with over the last 4 years. There's one creator, there's a light within us, we live our virtues, we walk our talk, we help each other. And these golden threads go through all of the religions. It's just really very heartening to find the way that religion comes together. And many scientists now are embracing religious philosophies and concepts. The science and religion are coming together. So, Will, did you want to say anything before I end up our session here?
You all did great today. What an amazing conversation.
Beautiful, beautiful. So, my friends, many of you I have seen throughout this year. And I thank once again, the Big Questions Committee, Reverend Channing Miller and Gloria Sunshine and Ruth Ahern. And this is the last of our forum, but I certainly hope that for this year, I will keep the list. And the Big Questions Committee is looking now at the next big question for next year. So please, please, especially for those of you who've been with us so long, let me know about, let me and the committee know about ideas that you have for the next big question. You have an idea of what we mean by big questions. And we will be planning our 5th year, 5 years. And and once again, thank you, Will, for hosting us. Channing, you have your hand up.
Right. I would just like to say,
Louder?
I noticed. Can you hear me?
Barely. Go ahead.
I noticed that there were some people who were in the audience who are brand new to our series, and I would just like to welcome you to come back next year. And I know Sarah will add your names to her list. And so if you have any contributions towards the question for next year, please send them to Sarah. And we are a very interactive community. So we're not just here planning for you, we also are trying to incorporate your ideas and integrate that into our curriculum. So just thank you so much for everything. Thank you, Dr. Bain. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Will. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
God bless you all. And we go forth to do our deeds.
Thank you so much.
God in us. Thank you. Thank you, Will.
Erica, where is the closest temple?
Depends on where you live. Where do you live?
Walnut Creek?
So either the El Sobrante or the Bay Point Gurdwara would be fine. There is a Livermore Gurdwara, if that is closer, I don't know.
And Pittsburgh Gurdwara.
Pittsburgh, Bay Point, and Livermore. There is a get-together in Pleasanton and San Ramon, but it's a smaller group. But that meets only regular, once a month or so.
The Ikankar group?
Yes, Ikankar group.
Are they still meeting? Are they meeting online?
They've meeting virtually, yeah. And we have created, like our group, the East-West Association of Sikh